Hello guys, see there's this disturbing issue about at the ongoing transfer window. Ademola Lookman wants to go to Inter and he's nowhere to be found. You know, the gist was in his contract, it was stated that he will not be sold to a rival club. That's why Atalanta are refusing to sell their main player, their best player in the last 2-3 years to Inter Milan. You know, so it's really a difficult task for Atalanta in their own books. But on the other side, Ademola Lookman feels he has done enough, you understand, to just make that move, as in to climb up the ladder in his career. You know, he was the African Footballer of the Year. He's the current African Footballer of the Year, and he wants to move up the ladder. You know, he didn't really have a great season last season, but he still managed to notch up a couple of goals. And you know, he played with injuries and he came back. You know, as in everything is really not working in his favor, but this Nigerian striker still has the prospect. He has the prospect of playing for Inter Milan, last year's UEFA Champions League finalist. So Ademola Lookman believes he should move to Inter Milan. He even submitted a transfer request to his club, Atalanta. You know, business-wise, you say Atalanta are just doing business as usual. The terms and conditions in the contract of Ademola Lookman determines how they would offer him for sale. We even heard that he was offered to Arsenal, and Ademola Lookman, who has played in England, who grew in England and played for the under-20s, won the under-20s World Cup. You understand? So he said he does not want to play for Arsenal, for you to know how bad this Nigerian striker is feeling. But would you blame him? He wants to play for Inter. I think he played Leicester, he played Leipzig, he played Everton, and you can see that it was Atalanta that really brought out his shine. You know, when he even featured for Nigeria at World Cup qualifier, Nations Cup qualifiers, and AFCON, he played up to the finals and he scored 3 goals. You know, so which really supported him in winning the AFCON, as well as the UEFA Cup, scoring a hat-trick. You know, first player that scored a hat-trick in the UEFA Cup final. You know, that's the height of his career right now. And this young man does not want to back down in moving to Inter Milan. You know, so Ademola Lookman believes his club, he has given so much for them. He has given so much of his time, his energy, his heart. You know, he has even won trophy for them, a major trophy for them, which was the UEFA Cup. So it is understandable if Ademola Lookman says he wants to move. But now the player has refused to train. You know, he has been we heard, you know, unconfirmed reports, we heard that he has been training secretly so that he could still maintain his level of fitness and cardio and all of that. But Inter Milan don't know where he is. They've declared him that he's nowhere to be found. You know, probably he's trying to pass a message that why not discuss with your fellow Italian club and let me move. I don't want to move back to England. You know, the England-born Nigerian striker doesn't want to go back to where he was born to ply his trade. So it's a really difficult decision for the Nigerian striker now. So we don't know what will happen in a couple of days, but as at the time I'm speaking now, there's nothing that has been heard from the Nigerian striker. He has frozen himself out. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He doesn't want to receive calls for him. Nobody even knows where he is. But I believe his family, or probably 1 or 2 people that's very close to him would be on the. But look at, from our own analysis, black players, African players, are they being treated well by European clubs? You know, let's be frank. If it was a European player that wants to make this kind of move, the move will be facilitated in a matter of weeks, in a matter of days. The documentation, the agreement, you know, it comes so easy. But on the other hand, you know, for a black player, I'm not trying to bring in racism or something here, but this is the undertone of what the transfer market is talking about now. You know, Victor Osimhen also had that issue with Napoli before Galatasaray could finally sign this guy. he was frustrated. He was, he wants to move to Chelsea, and they said his weekly pay is this, is that, he's too demanding, so Osimhen finally sealed that deal to Galatasaray. Just because Galatasaray were determined, the fans, the owner, even the president of the country, Turkey, welcomed him. So who would go that length for any player? Just like Ademola Lookman as well. Guys, welcome back. I feel so sad because I'm Nigerian, I'm black, and my fellow countryman is going through all these transfer sagas. It's something that both parties can just sit down. Okay, we don't want to sell you to a rival, and if we're going to sell you, this is the amount we're going to sell you. They should talk to Ademola Lookman. He's not being treated like like somebody that served the club with all his hearts. Go and look at the kind of goals Ademola Lookman scored for Atalanta. He put Atalanta on the map in European football. Bergamo is their stadium. Atalanta has never been pronounced in Europe, if not for Ademola Lookman. A man does not make a team, but you have to have a star player that when he's being called to the occasion, he will deliver. You understand? So what I'm trying to say now is Inter Milan and Ademola Lookman should sit down. The club officials should sit down, because why is it sounding like these Italian clubs don't like black players? I don't know why it sounds that way. I don't know why they are bringing this narrative into the transfer. Victor Osimhen's move to Galatasaray, it was a bumpy ride. But the striker he stood firm that he was not going to earn below what he was earning at Naples. He stood firm on his word, because if it was Florian Wirtz that went to Liverpool from Bayer Leverkusen, you can see that the transfer deal was smooth and everything went on well. You understand? Why is Victor Osimhen's case different? Victor Osimhen almost moved to Chelsea. Chelsea officials, they flew to Naples. They had the negotiations. They agreed the transfer price. It was now his personal terms that was now bringing up the issues, and they said he should earn. Everything was reportedly. We heard he should be earning 130, and the tax. By the time you remove tax and NHS fee, the money is still below what he earns at Napoli. And Osimhen said, I am not going to go below what I'm earning. I can earn the same amount that I was earning in Napoli, according to reports. So I think that was why the deal just went down the drain. Man United came knocking, doing everything, and the narrative was Osimhen wants to, he's too priced, and the club wants to offload players. They want to raise money. But look at what Man United have done. They've signed Bueno, they signed a couple of players too. You understand? Now they've signed Sesko. How much did Sesko cost? 70-something million. So why is Osimhen's own? Why was it a bottleneck for them? So I don't think it's an issue of disagreement. I think there's an undertone of marginalizing the African players. Let me put it that way. There's an undertone of marginalization when it comes to transfer, because this is real money, this is good money. You should also pay Africans. They are immigrants. Yes, fine. An immigrant can also earn what nobody else is earning. If he's worth it, if he's delivering. Okay, look at his stats for last season. He didn't start the season with Galatasaray, and he notched up to 35, 37 goals in 40 matches. Look at that stats. Look at now, he was not even nominated for Ballon d'Or. Why? Is Turkey not in the top 7, 8 leagues in Europe? If you are going to rate a Turkish team, aren't you going to rate them? Remember, Galatasaray has also won the UEFA Cup, beating Arsenal in the final. I could remember. I think it was the year 1999. They beat Arsenal in the final. Our Kano one will play for Arsenal in that final. So why is Galatasaray or why is Victor Osimhen not in the top 30 players that performed last season? Somebody that scored 35 goals in 40 games or thereabouts. Why was he not put into the question? Why? This is where you begin to ask questions. Why players are being treated like this, especially African players. Osimhen had a lot of goals in the league, in the FA Cup, in the Europa League. But while he was at Napoli, he was nominated. He was in the top 10. He was nominated. You understand? So this discussion is not something you can just finish overnight, but it is something that we just have to create awareness that, okay, when a player wants to move from one club and is an African player and he said these are his demands, that's where the problem is. I think we should start thinking in the we should start thinking in this direction, that players should be treated as the way European players are also treated. That's just our take on this show. Thank you very much. I'll see you some other time.